This is Corbin Vaughn.
Yes, Judge.
All right. Looks like we have everybody here with us. I have received reports, including the DHHS court report for the mother dated 5/29 of 25, forensic fluids drug screens for the respondent mother from March through May of 25, case service plan dated April 19th of 25, and the parent agency treatment plans dated 4/19 of 25. Mr. Sommerfeld, is there any other documentation I should be aware of?
No, Judge, you got it all.
All right. Any objection to that being considered by the court?
No objection.
No.
All right. Hearing none, that will be admitted. This is set for a review hearing. Mr. Sommerfeld, do you have a witness for me?
Yes, I'd like to call Joaquin Solis.
Mr. Solis, would you raise your right hand so I can swear you in? Do you swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
All right. Thank you very much. Would you state your full name, spell your last name for the record, please?
Joaquin Solis, S-O-L-I-S.
Mr. Sommerfeld, go ahead.
Thank you. Mr. Solis, how are you employed?
I'm a foster care worker for the Otsego County DHHS.
And you're familiar with the child Corbin Vaughn?
I am. He's a foster kid on my caseload.
Okay, and Corbin's father is Ethan Berry,
That's correct.
and mom is Tabitha Alexander.
Yes.
All right. When I look at the parent agency treatment plans, talk about dad, you have all of his need domains are marked substantial progress. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. So Ethan has been voluntarily participating in services since before they were court ordered in January of this year. He successfully completed counseling through Catholic Human Services. He's been drug testing since the removal of Corbin, randomly, weekly. He hasn't missed any, and he's also been negative for any substances for all of those tests. He did in April complete a psychological evaluation. The recommendations in that evaluation, there were no further counseling recommendations. There was a recommendation for a 12-step program to ensure that he's able to maintain his sobriety, and also an in-home parenting service through Wellspring Lutheran Services. The hope is to refer him to the family reunification program or something similar through Wellspring. But Ethan has been compliant since Corbin's removal. He's been doing very well. We recently, we had a TDM back in, I believe it was the end of March, beginning of April, looking at return home, and per department policy, we can allow Corbin to be in his care for up to 14 consecutive days. So we've been allowing Ethan to have him for an extended period of time, just to transition him back to the Gaylord community, to get him established in a daycare in Gaylord. Ethan was compliant with, the length of time that he could have Corbin, ensured that he went back to the foster home on the arranged dates, and there haven't been any concerns from the department. I personally been over to the home a number of times. Corbin is getting settled in the home, and things seem to be going really well.
All right. When I contrast Ethan's plan with Tabitha, her need domains are showing partial progress. And is that an accurate statement?
I would say that's accurate, yes.
Okay. But in the contrary to welfare on page 7 of your court report, you talk about that despite her engagement, mom fails to show consistent benefit and long-term stability as a result of her participation. Can you tell us about that? And I mean, to realistically put, where is she at right now?
Sure. So Tabitha has made some progress in her stability. She does have adequate housing now. She does have her own vehicle. So she also in her supervised parenting time, she does really well with Corbin. She has a great bond with Corbin. Um, in that structured setting, with a parenting aide, um, there aren't any safety concerns um, on the whole. We did have a team meeting at the end of May, just last week, to talk about the possibility of going to unsupervised time. One of the recommendations in Tabitha's psychological evaluation her second evaluation that she got at the end of summer last year, was that she abstained from marijuana and alcohol use as well as illicit drugs. This was brought up to Tabitha in the meeting. There were some contradictory statements that she was making to us and then to her therapist. Her therapist indicated that they had a conversation about her marijuana use. Her therapist was also against her use. Tabitha has stated that she feels like it works better than her prescribed medications. She had told her therapist that she wouldn't use marijuana unless Corbin was sleeping or she was away from him. She indicated to the department that she wouldn't use marijuana at all if Corbin was in her care unsupervised. So that was basically where we landed was the department can't ignore recommendations from a psychological evaluation that recommend that she abstain from marijuana use. And then her therapist was also recommending. We told Tabitha during the meeting that we would leave it to the court to address, and if the court decides that marijuana use is fine, if we move to unsupervised time, then the department would follow that direction. Tabitha did obtain a medical marijuana card the day or two after that team meeting. One of the other concerns from the department is, though, that Tabitha was upset after that meeting at what the therapist had disclosed to me in an email about her marijuana use. She disputed it, and she was also upset that she felt that even though she had signed a release, that much information should not have been given to the department. So she left that therapist, and that would be the second therapist that she left this year. She left her last therapist. She initially stated that it just wasn't a good fit. She wanted somebody else. Obviously, people should have some autonomy in their choice of mental health providers. So we just told Tabitha that she just needed to establish a new counselor. But this being the second one, within the space of the last 5 months, is concerning that she doesn't have consistency, that she's not actually working through past trauma, identifying, what are triggers for her. And this has been a kind of a consistent theme, not just through this case with Corbin, but with her other children. Tabitha's participated in DBT therapy before, and just kind of hits a wall where she doesn't really want to address past traumas. Doesn't feel like that's working. So the inconsistency with the therapist is also a concern. We are asking in our recommendations that we have discretion. We don't currently have discretion to move to unsupervised time, but basically we're asking the court to weigh in here and give their opinion and talk to mom about some of these issues. Corbin's not yet 2. He's by definition a vulnerable child. He's not verbal. He can't speak up if there's things occurring when DHS or service providers are not around. So we are looking for discretion to move to unsupervised time. We would just like these things addressed by the court today.
Okay. How is Mr. Barry and his son, how do their parenting times go?
So Ethan's been on unsupervised time for quite some time now. I have, like I said, since we expanded his parenting time, I've been in the home a number of times. He also has a good bond with Corbin. Both parents do. Their interactions are very positive. Whenever I see them together, he's ensured that all of his medical appointments are being scheduled. And he does a good job with him, and Corbin seems very comfortable in his care.
All right, so you're asking the court to adopt the recommendations in the court report and also the need domains and action steps in both respective parent agency treatment plan.
That's correct.
And you're asking for, while Mr. Barry already has the discretion for unsupervised, you're asking that also for Tabitha Alexander.
Yes.
Okay. Getting back to mom changing therapists did this recent change in therapist, did it take place after what I would maybe call an adverse event, or how mom interpreted the event?
Yeah. So the information provided by her therapist was brought up in the team meeting that we had regarding unsupervised time for Tabitha. And like I said, she was upset. She initially said that that information wasn't accurate. I spoke to her on the phone later. She said that, she felt that that was, even though she had signed a release, that that was too much information to be given. We talked about her getting a new therapist. She initially expressed that she'd like to get another therapist and she would sign a release, but only for them to communicate her attendance in sessions. And I advised it against that and told her that the court was going to be looking for progress and benefit from the therapist, and simply knowing how many times she's going and what her attendance is would likely not be good. She did agree to sign a full release after that. To my knowledge, this was just the end of last week. I got a voicemail from her therapist confirming that she's no longer working with Tabitha. So to my knowledge, she hasn't established somebody else yet. And I don't know if she signed a full release. But yes, I mean, she was upset at the information that was shared regarding her marijuana use, and that ultimately led to, within a day or two, her asking to get a new therapist.
All right, so both parents are making progress. It's just that, if I understand you correctly, Mr. Ethan Barry, he's very close to the finish line.
Yes, so we were asking our recommendations to have discretion to return home before the next hearing.
All right. Is there anything else you'd like to offer this afternoon?
Not at this time.
All right, thank you. Nothing further, Judge.
Thank you. Mr. Brown?
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Solis, you mentioned the marijuana use. She does have a valid medical marijuana card, correct?
She does, yes. Like I stated, I think it was 2 days after the team meeting that we had. So end of last week, she did provide me proof. She asked for copies of her psychological evaluation to provide whoever she was seeing. And they did give her a medical card, yes.
Okay. And is that, is a medical card, do you have to have any kind of physician state that you need one? A medical physician?
I can't answer that. I'm not sure.
All right. But it is basically a prescription. She has a medical licensed prescription to use marijuana.
Yes, that's my understanding, yes.
And if a doctor determines that she needs a medical licensed prescription to use marijuana as opposed to perhaps another drug, why is it any different?
Again, that's not the department's, position. I mean, if the court decides that is fine, that's direction that we will follow. We simply just can't ignore a recommendation from her psychological eval, and also her most recent therapist. So again, we told Tabitha during the meeting that if the court decides that, this is fine for you to use marijuana, if you have a medical card, then we'll follow that.
All right. And she does have a very strong bond with Corbin, correct?
She does.
Now, what, as far as anything that you have currently seen with her parenting time, the marijuana use, anything else, have you seen any harm to Corbin during any of your interactions with she and him, or anything that she is currently doing?
No, I mean, we haven't seen any harm. I did outline in my court report, we still have a concern based on her decisions with relationships, friends. I outlined, back in March during a supervised parenting time with a parenting aide, Tabitha requested to have a play date with a young child of a friend of hers. She and the parenting aide and Corbin went to the home. The person in question was having for lack of a better phrase, a mental health crisis. Tabitha told us during the team meeting that this individual had witnessed somebody attempting to commit suicide. So there was concerns with the parenting aide being there. This individual was in the back bedroom of the home. The parenting aide engaged in conversation with the friend of Tabitha's, who voluntarily gave her information about prior CPS involvement with them. There was an incident there where there was prescription medications that weren't secure. The parenting aide reported that she had to intervene to make sure that Corbin didn't have access to those. And there was a concern, and we attempted to address it during the team meeting. The conversation never fully evolved, but there was a concern that the parenting aide later attempted to talk to Tabitha about her concerns with the visit. Tabitha was very defensive and made statements like, CPS doesn't think anybody can change. She was angry and dismissive of the parenting aide's concern. So, I mean, I've outlined in several court reports throughout this case. It's been going on since 2023, and it's been addressed. Those are indicators of her borderline personality. Just the lack of recognition of what might be an unsafe environment for her children, and her choices in her interpersonal relationships. So again, those are things that we're looking to have addressed through her therapy. And that's where, the concern of this turnover with therapists. She had an initial appointment with this latest therapist at the end of March and was completing weekly sessions and starting to develop a rapport with her. And now we're basically back at the beginning. So I guess to answer your question, yeah, there are still some things that we're seeing that are concerning. Has Corbin ever been harmed while he's in her care during unsupervised time? No.
And you refer to the psychological evaluation. In your report, I believe it's on page 3, maybe under substance abuse. I believe that it says the most recent psychological evaluation from July of last year indicates she still has substance abuse dependence. And then the next sentence, she's been sober from methamphetamines, heroin, and opiates. Is that correct?
Yes.
So what is the dependence?
So it says that she's been sober since 2022. This was at the time of the evaluation. This was in July. In October of last year, Tabitha did relapse and self-reported that she was using methamphetamine and other drugs. So, that is part of, the department's ask that she refrain from marijuana use. I mean, I would say with the drug screens that I submitted, the levels of THC in her system when she tests, her statements that she's not, I mean, she put it in writing, she said it in verbally in team meetings, she's not going to abstain from marijuana use. She told her therapist that she thinks that it works better for her than her prescription medication. I mean, I think that is an indicator of using marijuana and still having a dependence.
Did the therapist opine on how well the prescribed medication works?
Not in my correspondence with her, no.
And she's been drug screening on a regular basis. I just got the most recent. They weren't positive for anything but marijuana, correct?
No, Tabitha has not been positive for anything since October of last year, except for marijuana.
And the personal relationships, she is currently living with somebody, correct? I believe his name is Caden.
Yes, that's correct.
And how do you feel that Caden is affecting this situation? Is he a support to her? Is he a hindrance?
I would say that he's a support to her based on everything that I've seen. He's very engaged. I have had the opportunity to supervise some day-long parenting times with them. He's very engaged with Corbin. He does a really good job. He's supportive of Tabitha. I guess for an example, in team meetings, some of these discussions are very upsetting. He does do a good job of helping keep her on an even keel, I guess, for lack of a better phrase. The department doesn't have any concerns with her relationship with that individual.
Okay. Nothing further right now, Your Honor.
Mr. Delaney.
Thank you. The last question by the department counsel was the question I was going to ask. So let me just re-ask that question. You'd like the discretion to return the child to Ethan in the next 90 days?
Yes.
If everything stays the same, the likelihood is that you would return the child within that time frame.
Yes, Ethan has agreed to participate in the services recommended in his psychological evaluation. So we are going to initiate those services. And yes, before the next review hearing, we anticipate returning home full time.
Okay, you obviously have two trains going two different speeds here. If the child is returned to Ethan, do you close his case?
Not immediately. The family reunification program can last up to 6 months. He also has to establish the 12-step program. So the case would be open for a while. I would say a goal would be 6 months, roughly, just so we can monitor, things once Corbin's there full time.
All right, very good. Thank you.
Mr. Gilo, any questions?
Not at this time, Judge.
All right, Mr. Solis, I've heard you talk about the mother's use of marijuana and asking for information or a decision from that about the court. Let me ask if there is the use of marijuana contraindicated on a mental health basis? Is that what the therapist and the psychological evaluation was about?
Yes.
All right. So there, in your mind, is there a difference then between the physical medical benefits of marijuana and the contraindication on the mental health side of things for the mother?
Yes.
All right. I think that's all the questions I have. Thank you very much. Mr. Sommerfeld, any other witnesses or any other evidence?
No, Judge.
All right, Mr. Brown, any witnesses or evidence?
Tabitha, would you like to briefly speak? I don't know if she needs to be sworn in, Your Honor, and I don't know how the court wants to handle that.
Well, does she want to give evidence or does she want to just give me her concerns?
You just want to make some comment?
I just want to clarify that I do have a counselor, and it wasn't my decision to switch my counselor. That the Catholic Human Services supervisor that I spoke to is the reason that Amy Haggerty is not my counselor anymore. She said that it was probably a conflict of interest. So I'm being seen by Tracy at Catholic Human Services. Joaquin has a full release signed. He gets more than just my attendance. He gets my progress, all of it. And I see her once a week on Fridays at 2 p.m. And in the TDM that we had, and they brought up their concerns about Vicki McLean's house, which was my friend that I took my son to where they had that incident. I did say in the TDM that I would only take Corbin to approved places by DHS. So if I were to get unsupervised visitation with my son, I would only have him in approved places that DHS approved. And that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else, Mr. Brown?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Mr. Delaney, any evidence or witnesses?
Let me just address Ethan. Ethan, I don't plan on calling you. Things are going well for you unless there's something the court doesn't know that you'd like the court to know. If not, I won't call you as a witness.
Yeah, I'm all good.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Gilo, any evidence or witnesses?
None, Your Honor, thank you.
Do you have a report for the court?
Yeah, Judge, update from the foster parent. Corbin's needs are being met. They don't have much contact with the parents. He sees his dad for 2 weeks at a time.
All right, thank you very much. Any closing statements, Mr. Sommerfeld?
Judge, I'd ask the court to adopt the recommendations in the court report and the parent agency treatment plans, the need domains, and the action steps. Excuse me. Judge, there is a case. It was for publication December 15th, 2022. It's called In the Matter of L, and then it's OTT minor. The number, that's all I have at this time, is 362073. It is a case for publication. I think it can give the court here some guidance. It has to do with not having supervised parenting time when parents are, still using even marijuana. And the court basically stated that, the department would have to show how supervised parenting time is unable to prevent a risk of harm to the child. I think there's a little different issue going on right now as it relates to mom is asking for unsupervised time. And so I know that during supervised, things are going well, but I'd ask the court to perhaps use that information, and as Mr. Solis said, it is an issue looking at mom's background as far as use of other substances. There's been relapses, and the possibility that the child could be at a risk of harm if unsupervised were to be granted. So that's all I have, Judge.
Mr. Brown, any closing comments?
I'm unfamiliar with that case, Your Honor. The big issue here, it seems to be her therapy, which she did state that she's got a new counselor that she goes to, and perhaps some marijuana use. I do understand the difference between a psychological evaluation and a physical medical evaluation. However, I mean, if her doctor did mention that this is something that is physically beneficial, every single put in our body is going to have some sort of a side effect. And there's been no indication that some of these other medications wouldn't have similar, if not perhaps even a worse side effect. That's why doctors put people on different medications. They see if it works. If it doesn't work, it causes depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts. Well, they say, well, that's the wrong medication. We'll put you on this one. And they keep doing that until they find one that works. Apparently, the medical doctor that evaluated her found one that works for her. So she does want unsupervised visits. And I would ask court to adopt the recommendations and give the department discretion to actually move toward those unsupervised visits to keep that bond in an unfettered area, even if just for a little while, Your Honor.
Mr. Delaney.
Only briefly, as to Ethan, obviously it's a 24 case. My recollection in this case was that Ethan was a slow starter, but he's doing really well now. I'm glad to hear the reports. As a parent, he's doing what he needs to do, and that is make a difference in your child's life. Thank you.
Mr. Gilo.
Nothing further.
All right. All right, I want to say to the parents, you each have made some progress. Mr. Berry, you've made substantial progress, and I'm very pleased to hear that. I think you've worked hard at this, and I believe that you're going to reap the rewards of that working hard by seeing Corbin on a much greater basis, and I'm anticipating that very shortly Corbin will be with you on almost a full-time basis. So I want to say kudos to you. Very good. Ms. Alexander, you have made strides as well, and I don't want to diminish those in any way. I want to be able to say to you, thank you for making that effort and doing those things. I applaud what you have been able to accomplish. In a moment, I'm going to talk about what you haven't yet been able to accomplish, but I don't want to diminish what you have accomplished by saying those things in the beginning. So from the court's perspective, we're making progress. We're doing good things. So keep those parts of the case up and continue to do them. I am going to adopt some of the recommendations from the court or from the DHHS. I will continue Corbin as a ward of the court with referral to DHHS for placement care and supervision. I'm going to recommend I'm going to order that the parents continue to comply with their parent agency treatment plans. I know that there's going to be some things for Mr. Berry, even after he gains Corbin back with him on a regular basis, that he must continue to do from the psychological evaluation and the substance abuse side of things. So I'm going to continue that portion of things and require them to continue with their parent agency treatment plan. Mr. Berry is to continue with the recommendations in his psychological evaluation, the 12-step program, and the in-home parenting services, including family reunification. And I will give DHHS discretion to return Corbin to Mr. Berry's care prior to the next court hearing when they deem it appropriate, if he is continues to make substantial progress in all of those areas. As to mom, the court was asked for its thoughts on the use of marijuana and the therapy changes that have been made. I've got to say that mom has an extensive history of mental health as well as substance abuse problems. I have no information as to what this marijuana doctor that prescribed marijuana, what he knew, what he saw, what he heard, what information he had about this case. I have no indication that he knew about her psychological evaluation that said that marijuana was contraindicated, or that her mental health therapist specifically said that marijuana was contraindicated. And it appears to me that Ms. Alexander has placed the use of a controlled substance ahead of her child. And for that reason, I'm not going to allow unsupervised visitation between her and her child. If she makes a substantial about face and begins to make real efforts and real strides in her mental health side of things, which would mean abstinence from marijuana as part of that process, so that her mental health treatment is full and she obtains a benefit from it, including addressing the prior trauma that she's failed to address. And instead of medicating the problem away, addressing the problem so that we can be sure that when she is out of an unstructured, so that when she is out of a structured environment, that the child will be safe and that she will not make inappropriate or impulsive choices, much like she did, as Mr. Solis said, in the incident that was described on the record in May. So at this point, I'm not going to let her have unsupervised visitation. I understand that the department asked for discretion to do that, but on this record, I've not heard any reason for me to do that. The department can certainly file a motion between now and the next court hearing if it believes that that is appropriate. But I'm simply going to say to Ms. Alexander that she has not shown me enough for her to warrant that kind. And Mr. Brown, you may want to inquire of your client what information was given to the medical provider that prescribed marijuana. My guess is that she went to a medical marijuana doctor who didn't ask for any history or asked for a very small amount of history and was not made aware of any of this. And I would also guess that she has not addressed this with any of her counselors on the mental health side of things. And if she's going to play the game, she's going to lose. So you may want to talk with her very strongly about that. All right. Anything else that needs to be placed in the court's order?
No, Judge. Thank you.
No, Your Honor.
No, thank you.
Oh, yeah. That'll be all for today then. Thank you very
Judge?
much. Yes.
So now that he's like returned home or whatever, am I able to file for full custody?
I can't advise you on legal issues. Mr. Delaney certainly can, and I'd be happy to have you address that with him.
Could you send us to a breakout room possibly?
I can certainly try that. Mr. Delaney, are you on our one of our next cases or not?
I'm not on Sherfield, but I'm on Barnett. So just come get me when you need me, or I'll just let Mr. Berry know, maybe a couple of minutes, probably 5 to 10 minutes.
Thank
All
you.
right, we can certainly put you in a breakout room so he can discuss those things with you. That's all for everybody else. Thank you.